to her family's home, knocked on their door.
It wasn't even like that.
Looked through the peephole.
It wasn't even like that.
See shadows moving all around.
No.
Through the peephole?
Tiptoeing towards the door.
No.
He told me he was married.
But why would you still mess with a married man? Why would you do that?
Not only was he a married man, but you were also messing with a guy that you knew was messing with your neighbor. And that was your friend.
We haven't even been in a relationship. He won't even commit to me. He's left me multiple times for other women and committed to them. And I feel like I deserve that too because I had your babies. It is true.
Ms. McMahon and Ms. Wilridge strut back into the courtroom, ready to unpack even more jaw-dropping secrets about their late dad. Last time, they uncovered his double life, complete with secret affairs and undisclosed children, sparking gasps all around. Now, they're digging deeper into yet another potential scandal involving their father. Buckle up, because the roller coaster is just getting started.
Ms. McMahon and Ms. Wilridge, in your previous appearance in our courtroom, you learned your deceased dad had kept a secret from you your entire life. It turns out that he had cheated on your mother, and you discovered that a good friend of yours, actually your biological sister.
And the plot thickens. Ms. Swan steps up with a bombshell claim that she too had an affair with the father of Ms. McMahon and Ms. Wilridge. Keeping it hush-hush because he was married adds layers to the drama, stirring the pot and the audience's reactions in the courtroom. Next up, we're turning up the heat even more, if you can believe it.
Ms. Swan, you're the woman who claims to have had an affair with their father. You admit that you kept it a secret because he was a married man. You believe your son was a result of that relationship, and he is indeed their brother. Your son, Mr. Williams, is waiting outside of the courtroom, and we'll meet him in just a moment.
Wait till you get a load of this. Mr. Williams, the son Ms. Swan claims is from her affair, waits just outside the courtroom doors, adding a dash of suspense about his potential connection to Ms. McMahon and Ms. Wilridge. The air is thick with tension and unanswered questions about family secrets. You'll want to stick around for this. It's a real doozy.
Well, back in 1999, I was shown a picture. I was at someone that we considered a cousin because we were so close growing up. We were at their house, and I was shown a picture of a little boy. I think he probably had to be about 7 at that time. I was told that it was my brother. I looked at the picture, but I didn't see any resemblance.
Talk about a throwback. Back in 1999, Ms. McMahon first glimpsed a photo of a kid said to be her brother, which she shrugged off at the time. Fast forward to 2001, the supposed brother shows up claiming his place in the family tree, stirring up all kinds of feelings and confusion. Just when you think you've seen it all, there's more to the story.
But in 2001, there was someone that showed up at my mom's house, and he claimed to be my dad's son. I was not at the house at the time, but my other sisters and my mom got a chance to meet and talk to him. My sister Gloria was there, and she actually got a chance to meet him.
What happened on that day?
Well, a few days before we did see him, my sister had said, well, we think possibly this guy could be your brother.
Brace yourselves. This one's a doozy. Ms. Swan owns up to her affair with the father, knowing full well he was married. Sparks fly as ethical dilemmas and emotional debates ignite, captivating everyone in the room. The upcoming reveal is even juicier, so don't go anywhere.
You did have a relationship with their father?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you know he was married?
Yes, Your Honor, because when we first met one another, he told me he was married.
But why would you still mess with a married man? Why would you do that?
Not only was he a married man, but you were also messing with a guy that you knew was messing with your neighbor. And that was your friend. You sleeping with a married man, and you sleeping behind your friend's man or your neighbor man. Why would you do such a thing as being a woman?
Can you imagine? In a bold move, Ms. Swan named her son after the man she claims is his dad, throwing emotional grenades into the already chaotic mix. This gesture hints at deeper connections and potential fallout for everyone involved. Get ready, because the emotional fireworks are about to explode.
So you attempted to name your son after their father?
Right.
Well, you didn't attempt, you did.
Right.
And that was their father's name?
Right.
When was the last time you saw their father?
The last time I saw their father, he left my house and he got towards the driveway. And he got out of his car and told me he'll see me in heaven. And that was the end of it. That's the last time I seen him.
He'd see you in heaven.
Well, I don't think y'all gonna be in heaven.
Grab your tissues for this one. Ms. Swan recounts the poignant last encounter with their father on the very night he passed away. This heart-tugging narrative adds a somber note to the swirling drama and sets the stage for more revelations. The courtroom is about to get a whole lot more intense.
That night,
Because that night when he left my house, a friend of mine came by and told me he was dead.
Well, he didn't die at night.
My dad was found deceased at 5:30 in the morning, and she thought that he was just staying there, sleeping in. And when she went to go wake him up and tell him that breakfast was ready, my dad had passed. I think it came to him to where he was emotionally drained. That's what some of his friends was telling us, like he was emotionally drained.
Here comes the main event. Mr. Williams finally steps into the courtroom, facing the women who might be his half-sisters. His arrival cranks up the drama to 11 as emotions run high and family ties are put to the test. Keep your eyes peeled because the next part ties it all together.
Go right up here on the left.
You know, we're here discussing, of course, the very sensitive subject surrounding your paternity and the plaintiff's late father. It is asserted that he is perhaps a biological father. We asked your mother, had you ever had an opportunity to meet this man?
This is the moment we've all been waiting for. The DNA results are in.
It has been determined by this court that you are half siblings.
You knew it. The junior, he's the only boy.
The only boy.
All right, here's where things start heating up. Miss Scott kicks things off by sharing how she and Mr. Holloway were absolutely thrilled at the birth of their twins. But just when you think it's all celebration and baby showers, boom! The joy crashes when Mr. Holloway starts doubting he's the father of their older son, Jaden. He's pretty convinced that Miss Scott might have stepped out on him, questioning Jaden's paternity. And trust me, you'll want to stick around for what's coming next.
You say those joyous emotions quickly turned to shock when Mr. Holloway then began denying paternity of another one of your children, 1-year-old Jaden. You and your mother say that although you are the father of her newborn twins, you believe Miss Scott and thus older son Jaden is not your biological child.
Oh boy, the plot thickens. Mr. Holloway throws a curveball with accusations flying left and right. He claims Miss Scott has been chatting up her ex, Mr. Alexander, all through her pregnancies. He's pretty much convinced she's been playing the field, especially around when Jaden was conceived. Hang on, because the next part is a real doozy.
Why did you suddenly begin to deny Jaden after the birth of your twins?
Because when me and Miss Scott were in a relationship, she has kept in contact with Mr. Alexander the whole time throughout both pregnancies. Throughout her pregnancy the first time, she's contacted him through Facebook, text messages, phone calls.
So have you been contacting this man continuously, Miss Scott?
No, I have not.
Here comes a twist. Miss Scott lays it all out, explaining how she and Mr. Holloway were never really the picture-perfect couple she hoped for. She talks about her hit-and-miss contacts with Mr. Alexander and spills the tea on feeling a bit left out in the cold, craving a more solid commitment. And guess what? The story takes an even crazier turn just around the corner.
Me and Mr. Alexander were just friends. We did, mess around like years ago, and he's been my friend about as long as I've known Mr. Holloway. Around the time that my son Jaden was conceived, I had no contact with him. We haven't even been in a relationship. He won't even commit to me. He's left me multiple times for other women and committed to them. And I feel like I deserve that too because I had your babies. It is true.
You won't believe this bit. Mr. Holloway is digging deep into his suspicion toolbox, bringing up a specific week in October 2012 when Miss Scott supposedly hung out with Mr. Alexander. His doubt meter goes off the charts after moving in with Miss Scott and getting up close and personal with her prenatal appointments. The saga continues, and you'll want to hear what's next.
From the week of the 22nd of October to the 27th of October 2012, me and Miss Scott were together. She admitted to me during that week before that, her and Mr. Alexander have been in communication. Hanging out.
Had been intimate.
Had been intimate, yes.
No, no.
She admitted to me that she was going around where he was and they were together at certain times of that year. So when she got pregnant, 2012, ended up living with her at her grandmother's house.
This is where it gets spicy. Miss Scott talks about a Facebook post that threw Mr. Holloway for a loop. A pic of Jaden looking a bit too much like Mr. Alexander for comfort. This photo sends Mr. Holloway into a whirlwind of doubt about being Jaden's dad. Brace yourself because Mr. Alexander is about to enter the chat.
So that's when I began to have doubts.
I have a picture too, Your Honor, of it that my son texted to me with Jaden and asked me to be the judge.
I think another...
Let me see that, ma'am. Jerome, will you please hand me her evidence? So you say your son sent you this picture.
Yes, ma'am.
I made that picture on my phone.
Yes,
you
ma'am.
put this picture on your phone, and underneath the picture of Jaden is a picture of you,
my son,
on the left, and Mr. Alexander on the right.
Yeah, and I've never seen the guy before.
Grab your popcorn. Here comes Mr. Alexander with some crucial info. He steps up to the plate, denying any recent ties with Miss Scott and is adamant he's not the father, pointing out their last fling was way back when. He's sure he's out of the daddy race, but the best part, those jaw-dropping DNA results are just up ahead.
So, Mr. Alexander, you realize we're here discussing the issues that relate to Jaden's paternity.
Right.
Let me just start off by saying this. You have been in a sexual relationship before with Miss Scott. You have, and she admits to that as well.
Right.
Do you think Jaden looks like you?
No.
You don't?
No. I think he looks like her.
You think he looks like his mom?
Looks like his mom.
But nothing like you.
No.
Get ready for the grand reveal. As the envelope is torn open, everyone's on edge.
Is the father of 1-year-old Jaden Holloway, Mr. Alexander, you are not his father.
Yes.
Mr. Holloway, you are his father.
Yes. Yes. The judge, she's gonna keep denying me.
All right, grab your snacks and settle in, because we're diving headfirst into some real drama today. Kicking things off, the court clerk steps up to lay the groundwork for the showdown in Lillard v. Holt. Picture this. Mr. Lillard, after 2 whole decades, is hit with a bombshell. Ms. Holt's son, Delvin, who's now 20, claims Lillard is his dad. Ms. Holt, on her end, has been on a quest to get Lillard to step up as Delvin's father. Talk about opening a can of worms. Stay tuned, because the sparks are about to fly.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is the case of Lillard versus Holt.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Mr. Lillard, you say you were forced to open this case after receiving a message last year from Ms. Holt's 20-year-old son, Delvin Holt. Ms. Holt, you say you have unsuccessfully tried for 20 years to get Mr. Lillard to accept responsibility for your son.
Hold on to your hats. This story's about to take a twist. Mr. Lillard spills the beans on a day that turned his world upside down. He played hooky from school to spy on Ms. Holt, only to catch her red-handed with another dude as they stepped out of her house. This bombshell moment sent their relationship into a tailspin. Trust me, you'll want to keep watching as this tangled tale unravels.
Things were wrong when I caught her cheating.
What happened?
Miss Holt just decided not to be at school. Wasn't in none of her classes. We usually meet up in class, hallways, whatever. She wasn't there. I left school, walked 2 miles to her family's home, knocked on their door.
It wasn't even like that.
Looked through the peephole.
It wasn't even like that.
See shadows moving all around.
No.
Through the peephole?
Tiptoeing towards the door.
No.
Thought you'd seen everything? There's more. Delvin Holt steps into the spotlight, desperate for some answers about his dad. Amidst Mr. Lillard's steadfast denial and a history of dodged paternity claims, including a negative DNA test pointing to another guy, Delvin's plea for closure brings the drama to a boiling point. Don't go anywhere. The revelations that follow will blow your mind.
She says I'm pregnant.
There you go.
You remember the day she told you?
Honestly, no, I tried to block out my mind after that.
So you had the puppy love heartbreak over that.
It's my first time ever experiencing that.
Crazy.
I blocked out my mind, and I ain't never forgave her for it.
Darius was not present during any point of my pregnancy. He was not present any point of him being born.
But after Delvin was born, did you let him know?
I did. Let him know.
What was his response?
Of course, he still was upset.
And now for the moment of truth. Just when you think you've got it figured out, the episode hits its peak with the judge ready to unveil the DNA test results. What's in that envelope could change everything. Make sure you're sitting down for this.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lillard, you are not the father.
Okay, baby. Darius, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for putting you through that. I really am.
Strap in for this roller coaster start. Miss Collins brings Mr. Stone to court to establish paternity of her daughter, Samara. She describes the emotional turmoil following their fleeting relationship and Mr. Stone's subsequent disappearance upon learning of her pregnancy. Just when you think it's a regular day in court, it gets better.
Miss Collins, you have dragged the defendant to court to prove he is the biological father of your 4-year-old daughter, Samara. You say one day of bliss became a lifetime of hell when Mr. Stone up and disappeared when you revealed to him you were pregnant.
You're not going to believe this next bit? Miss Collins recounts how she met Mr. Stone on a dating site and their decision to meet up, which led to a night of unprotected sex. This is the moment she believes led to her pregnancy, setting the stage for the paternity dispute. Stick around, the soap opera unfolds even more.
Me and Mr. Stone met on a dating site. So we had a few conversations, text messaging here, calling there, until one day we decided that we will meet up. We were drinking, we were talking. So he said, well, why don't you just stay tonight? You know, you've been drinking anyway, why don't you just, crash here?
Meeting him on the dating website, you all finally meet each other in person and have sex that night. Did you use protection?
At first we did, Your Honor, then afterwards it just went with the flow.
Next up, a plot twist you didn't see coming. After discovering her pregnancy, Miss Collins informs Mr. Stone, suggesting he could be the father. However, their communication breaks down, and Mr. Stone moves away, complicating their relationship and the resolution of the paternity issue. And guess what? It spirals even further.
Find out you're pregnant. Who do you tell?
I went to a doctor. This was at the beginning of June. The doctor told me I was about a month long. So I'm like, okay. So after that, I give Mr. Stone a call. I let him know. I said, hey, I'm pregnant, and there's a possibility that you might be.
She never said that it was a possibility.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Brace yourself for some vanishing acts. Miss Collins struggles to maintain contact with Mr. Stone after he moves to Arizona and cuts off communication, leaving her to deal with the pregnancy alone. Keep your eyes peeled because there's more intrigue to come.
He moves to Arizona, and I said, okay, well, keep in touch with me. His phone was cut off. I guess he deactivated his Facebook.
I've had the same Facebook for like 7 years.
He deactivated it because there was no way that I could get in touch with him.
So you couldn't get in touch?
No, ma'am.
So you're pregnant and you're trying to get in touch with him and you can't find him anywhere?
No, ma'am.
When she first told me that she was pregnant, she can't come kick it, I understand, you know, so I thought maybe it was the guy that she was messing with.
Watch as the plot thickens. In a twist, when confronted about the paternity after a few years, Mr. Stone learns he is not the only potential father. Miss Collins had previously believed another man was the father, which she later disproves through a paternity test. Don't touch that dial, the revelations keep coming.
You did not know anything about this baby for 2.5 years?
Correct.
It wasn't that long.
Yes, Your Honor. So she gave me the call. I was in Arizona. She's like, well, the person I thought that was the father of the baby is not. So I'm like, okay. And then she said, the other person that might have been a possibility to be the father also is not.
Other person?
Yes.
The suspense is killing, isn't it? Mr. Stone expresses his skepticism about being the father, citing the complexity of the situation and Miss Collins' previous uncertainty about the child's paternity. Next scene, more surprises and gasps.
So, Mr. Stone, it's your feeling all of this time she really didn't think you were the father because everybody else knew how to reach you, and you don't feel like she was really trying to find you. Who has been raising baby Samara all this time?
I have.
Did you say another man was her father? Did you tell her another man was her father?
When I had Samara, she looked like my ex. They favored. They really did. After so long, speculations came up, got a test done, come to find out she wasn't his.
Get ready for some courtroom drama. The court attempts multiple times to conduct a paternity test, but Miss Collins does not participate consistently, raising further doubts about her intentions and the child's paternity. Up next, the plot twists at every turn.
She suggested that we do a at-home DNA test. So I was like, I don't really trust that. I don't know. That's not a doctor. But she said, I'll pay for it. I said, okay, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. Never got it. Here we are 4.5 years later after the situation has happened, and now we're in your courtroom instead of just getting this taken care of in the first.
3 solid attempts to get this done.
At least.
And 2 of the 3, she has backed out.
That's correct.
Hold on to your seats, folks. Miss Collins insists Mr. Stone is the father, citing a medical condition in her daughter that does not run in her family, but does in Mr. Stone's, pointing to a biological link. Just when you think it's all figured out, here comes another curveball.
I'm trying to get this test just as much as he's trying to get it done to make sure she's his daughter or not.
Is he the only other possible father?
Yes, Your Honor, because a few years, my daughter, she got sick. Come to find out she's hypoglycemic. Now, that does not run on my side of the family. So what I do, I'll give Mr. Stone a phone call, and he says, yes, I do believe that do run in my family.
Anybody could have hypoglycemia. I'm not the only person on this earth. I'm sure there's a whole lot of us.
Ready for the grand finale? The dramatic revelation occurs as the DNA test results are disclosed in court.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Stone, you are the father.